Let's dive into an absolutely wild story from the ancient world. It's one that asks a pretty terrifying question. What happens when a prize of war, the ultimate symbol of your enemy's defeat, turns out to be way more dangerous than the army you just beat?
I mean, really think about that. You've just won a massive battle. You seized the enemy's most sacred object to prove your dominance. But then, what if that trophy started to, fight back? What if it began to tear your world apart from the inside? Well, that's exactly the story we're getting into today.
All right, so part 1, a trophy of war. Let's set the scene. It all starts after this huge battle at a place called Ebenezer. The Philistines score a major victory over the Israelites, and they capture the most sacred thing they have, the Ark of God. For the Philistines, this is it. This is the ultimate power move. It's a symbol that their God is supreme. So of course, what do you do with a prize like that? You show it off. They take it on this big victory tour through their major cities. But this victory lap quickly turns into a trail of absolute disaster. We're going to follow the Ark's path from Ashdod to Gath and then to Ekron, and watch how this trophy of war becomes an object of pure terror. First stop is the city of Ashdod, and man, their first move is just dripping with arrogance. They haul the Ark into the temple of their main god, Dagon, and set it down right next to his statue. The message couldn't be clearer. Our God has totally crushed yours. Okay, so, part 2, the fallen god. The Philistines think they've made their point, but now, something else is about to make its own. The very next morning, the priests of Dagon walk into their temple, and things start to get weird. So on that first morning, they find the huge statue of Dagon has just face-planted, right in front of the Ark. Kind of strange, right? Maybe a little earthquake. They don't think much of it. They just prop him back up. But when they come back the next day, the next day is a whole different story. Dagon has fallen again, but this time, it's not just a simple fall. Yet this was no accident. The statue of their mighty god was completely dismantled. Its head and hands were just snapped clean off, lying there on the doorstep. Only the torso was left. I mean, talk about an unmistakable message. The symbol of their power was now totally powerless. And if you think a broken statue is bad, it gets so much worse. Because whatever power did that, well, it wasn't done with Ashdod. Now it turns its attention from the stone god to the actual people. A really painful and devastating plague of tumors suddenly breaks out all across the city. It doesn't take long for the Philistines to connect the dots. Their god is shattered, their people are horribly sick. They realize this trophy is the source of all their trouble. Their victory prize has become a curse, and they decide it has to go. Now we're at part 3, the unwanted guest. So what's their big plan to solve this? It's a classic case of not in my backyard. They figure, hey, let's just move it to the next town over. So they pack up the Ark and send it on its way to the neighboring city of Gath. But spoiler alert, that did not work. The problem didn't stay behind in Ashdod. The second the Ark shows up in Gath, the exact same plague erupts, hitting everyone, young and old. The text says the city was thrown into a great panic. So the horror isn't just repeating itself, it's spreading, and it's following the Ark. And you better believe the folks in Gath learn fast. They see what's happening, and they want no part of it. So now we've got a pattern, right? The Ark arrives, a plague starts, and the terrified citizens basically play hot potato with it, demanding it be sent somewhere else. So they pass it along to the next city down the line, Ekron. This brings us to part 4, a cry to heaven. This is the final stop on this tour of disaster. And by the time the Ark is even approaching Ekron, its reputation has preceded it. There's no period of confusion or curiosity here. The reaction is immediate and it is desperate. Unlike the other cities, the people of Ekron know exactly what's coming. The moment they see the Ark being brought toward their city, they cry out in sheer terror. They don't see a trophy, they see a weapon being turned on them, and they are convinced it has been brought there specifically to kill them all. And you know what? Their fears were completely justified. Ekron is the climax of this whole catastrophe. The plague that hits them is so severe that the text says death had filled the city with panic. Those who didn't die were still hit with the same awful tumors. The suffering was so immense, their collective cry was said to have went up to heaven. So let's just recap this escalating nightmare, right? You can see it so clearly here. In Ashdod, it starts with a broken idol and some tumors, and they're like, the ark must not stay here. In Goth, the fear becomes great panic, and they immediately try to pass it on. But by the time it gets to Ekron, the consequence is widespread death, and the plea is no longer just move it, it's send it away, or it will kill us. And this is the final, desperate conclusion from the Philistine rulers. The great conquerors, who so proudly paraded this symbol of their victory, are now begging for it to be sent back where it came from. Their tone has shifted completely from triumphant to terrified. The trophy has officially defeated its captors.
Wow, this whole story leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about. The Philistines took an object they saw as a symbol of power and victory, but they quickly learned that some things carry a power you just don't understand, and you definitely can't control. It forces us to ask, at what point does a prize become a poison? When does a trophy of war become a curse?